if you were gonna say a hook of why people should watch either Secret Level or one specific thing from Secret Level, let's play a game. What would your hook be?
You want to hear a story?
Any story.
I was just like, hey, what if amazing CG artists made vignettes about a whole bunch of video games?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the premise, and that's kind of all I need to kind of want to jump in there.
What if you almost got a great Mega Man show?
I don't think that's a great hook.
It's a terrible hook, but it's the hook I have.
YUNKJunk!
Hey everybody, welcome to Tubby Talk. There was a show that came on recently that was called Secret Level, and it got us thinking, what are some cool adaptations of video games into any sort of other medium, let's say? So we can go any
sort.
I think
I
any
got some
sort,
ideas on that.
because
Yeah.
where we're going to start with, I think, is Secret Level brought us into high-level CGI. So if you're not aware, there was a show that was called Love and Robots.
Yeah.
And that was like really high end CGI work for robot shows. There were a bunch of little shorts. It's what's that called? It starts with an A. Anthology. Yeah. Well, they did it with video games, and they got us all hyped up because they released
video games.
Well, they released a trailer, and in that trailer it showed little snippets of all of these, and two of them were Pac-Man and what I was most excited for, Mega Man. Mega Man. So we'll start with Secret Level. Boys, did you watch Secret Level?
I watched like I forget how many there are. I think there might be like 12 or 14.
Yeah, 14, 15.
Yeah, I watched 8 or so.
Yeah.
Me and Chris just watched some today to bone up for the podcast.
Yeah.
Good.
We watched the Pac-Man one.
That's a good one.
It's an interesting
internet's
one.
divided.
It's a very interesting
The
one.
internet's divided.
And we watched the Mega Man one, of course. I'm sure you watched Mega Man.
I did. However, I was waiting on this show to come out. I was really excited. I was like, oh my God, Mega Man, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. They didn't release it in the first week.
They released it the second
They
set.
released it the second week. So I'm like, what? I mean, I'm scrolling through. I'm like, where is it? He's literally the face of the show.
That's the only reason I
And it
watched
wasn't
it.
on the first round of episodes.
I watched 8. It's because I was waiting for it. The first round came out. I'm like, there's no Mega Man. I guess I'll watch these other ones.
That's the whole reason that I started with the Pac-Man one, because Pac-Man was in the first batch.
Yeah.
But I watched it being like, oh, I'm disappointed. But I ended up liking it. But let's discuss.
Yeah, so it's the most high concept Pac-Man I could imagine.
So high concept has nothing to do with Pac-Man, arguably.
Puck-Man.
Yeah, there's
It
no
has even less to do with Puck-Man.
It does. So here's the interesting thing.
Okay.
I watched it with subtitles.
Oh, okay.
The character voice that is given to the robot is Puck. Which the original Pac-Man was Puck-Man.
Yeah.
Which I thought was clever.
But he's not shaped like a puck at all.
She.
And so I didn't even know it was a robot. I watched it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a robot.
Hey, you know the story about Puck? You know the story about Puck-Man, right? Like the original story?
Yeah.
Where they changed the name because they didn't want it facing the cabinet to an F instead of a P.
You 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
Because of you.
Baby boomers.
That's true.
But yeah, so yeah, it's if you haven't seen it, it basically starts with a pod that looks like a
It looks like a
Doctor. It looks like a Dr. Light pod from Mega Man X, first of all.
Yeah.
Or like a save room pod in Metroid. An Oddworld Abe's Odyssey ass looking mother effer pops out of it.
Same thing. I thought the same thing.
And I'm like, what is this? And then a golden orb shows up and is like, hello, you must eat. Help me get out of this maze.
Well, okay, so what was interesting, that starts and it seems the world tilts, right? And then the body, the robot, the puck, as you're saying, falls down, connect to a tube, falls out. What is the metaphor for this twisting and falling out of the tube? Like, is that a metaphor for anything in the game, or is that just like,
I also
it
might
looked cool?
be confused because it gets like an armor, and that's what I'm referring to as a robot. But you're right, it is a yellow orb first, right?
Well,
Yeah.
no. The
Can
yellow
we see
orb
it,
is
Dylan?
talking. Yeah.
Wait, Terry, so you're saying the orb is called Puck in the subtitles?
The
right?
orb
Yeah,
is
the orb is
called
Puck. Yeah, the bodies are just whatever. I don't know what they. I wonder what they. Do you remember what they dubbed it, or was it just like entity
yes,
or something?
It was like Challenger or
that makes sense.
Traveler. It was one of those.
One is what the
That makes
puck
sense.
referred to. You are the chosen one.
Dylan, can you pull up? It's if you type in secret level Pac-Man, we'll probably get an image. But let's keep.
But yeah, so part of what I was thinking about earlier on the way here, and we can talk about it a little bit more while we're on secret level. It was a very good showcase. All the ones that I've watched, were a very good showcase for CGI artists.
Yes.
Yeah.
For translating video games to CGI, not so much. So I think that was just a flourish. They wanted the body to fall out of the tube.
Right.
So it would have a different image than, the stock standard. Oh, a tube opens up, being pops out. It kind of falls out.
Yeah. And
so it just tilts the camera to disorient the viewer.
Dylan, you can click that Origins of Pac-Man, that 1 minute version, and just kind of let it fly in the background.
The implication being it's always at that angle.
Yeah. It was, the camera was not. Because there's a little camera move later.
So the implication is that this alien-looking thing is
Abe from Oddworld.
Yeah.
Yes, but is Pac-Man there's someone that the player assumes, or the player and must defeat challenges through a maze to eat?
Well, he's being told he must defeat challenges in a maze to eat.
Right.
Now, up until we're just gonna spoil this. Up until the end, I thought this was a reimagining of That Is Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No.
And that's the big thing.
I also, I was the entire, up front is Pac-Man, obviously, because it was titled. But the entire time, I saw nothing that speaks.
That look like
as Pac-Man. Yeah. Pac-Man, it's known for its lush, floral, alien jungle environments and deserts.
There's no fruit.
Well,
there were
cherries
in the beginning.
There were human-looking earth-looking cherries, and he eats it and spits it out.
Spits it out. He's like, oh, gross.
Because it wasn't meat, apparently. He must rip and tear meat, as we find out later in the episode.
Well, let's add some form to this. Did you like it?
As a piece of artistic media, I liked it. As a Pac-Man adaptation, no.
So it was interesting to watch. It was probably the most pretentious thing I've seen since art school.
Really?
Probably just trying to oh, what if Pac-Man was a metaphor for the struggle of humanity to grow and change.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I'd like to piggyback on that. I did not put it together as being super pretentious at all.
Okay.
Because I like what they did in that, to me, it was a straight shot. I don't think they were trying to make a statement. I think it was what if Pac-Man is the bad guy? And essentially he's trying to get out of the maze. He's trying to win the Pac-Man that we see, but he literally needs a sacrifice in order to do that. And then when he gets that pellet, he gets his shield and the ghosts turn blue so that he can actually go into the maze. So I look at it as Pac-Man. I look at that guy, he's the coin.
Okay. So it's open to interpretation, because in my reckoning, that guy was Pac-Man, and that's the power pellet.
Yeah,
and the power pellet embeds itself into him and becomes the device that can eat
the shadow,
the ghost,
the shadow puck, as it were.
And then when it's released, he can no longer eat the ghost.
But doesn't he open something? Doesn't he?
Yeah, it opens.
So Pac-Man,
Yeah.
Puck, needs a human to open a door.
Open a gate, yeah.
Right.
So that it can then grab this thing that then allows them to merge so he can go into the maze and escape the maze.
Well, so I read it as just to leave. Just for the orb to leave, it needs a human host to take over.
See, I thought it was the human host is what allows him to play the game in order to escape. So that's why I see him as a coin.
I think the game is beyond the door. The part we see, the part we see is not even in the maze yet.
That's what I mean. The maze that we play.
Yeah. Okay,
he didn't get
what
to.
Lies beyond.
He didn't get to.
Oh,
it.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
It was do-do-do-do, and that's the wrong thing.
That's Donkey Kong.
So in the scene right before the power pellet, because I like Chris' interpretation of the power pellet empowers Pac-Man to eat the ghosts.
I thought you meant pretentious.
Which the ghosts were gorillas with lanternfish heads.
Yeah.
That were ghosts.
So you thought that the creatures before we got in the maze were the ghosts?
That's what the orb says. The orb says because
he sees them and he goes,
yeah, the guy's I can't eat the ghost.
right?
Oh.
And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you can eat a ghost, just not their eyes.
Which is a direct reference when you eat the ghost in Pac-Man, their eyes fly back to the start.
Oh, I missed that completely because what I thought I thought eventually Pac-Man's going to get into the maze and all of
then
those
be able
that
to
he's
face
killed. No, everything
Oh.
he's ever killed
Is going to come back
is the
as
ghosts.
Ghost of his.
That's going to
his
come back and
triumphs
haunt him. Like Pac-Man episode 2,
savagery.
I see that the dude who died coming back in an astral form and going after Pac-Man.
What's
Who
interesting?
has tricked another coin player.
So I can't knock it too much because it's led to these open interpretations, and I mean that's cool.
Which is lends to the theory it's the most pretentious thing you've seen since art school.
Yeah, an open term. I mean, and that's what this is. This is an artistic critique that we're doing right now, and it lends itself to that, and pretension leads itself to that. And there's nothing wrong with being pretentious every once in a while.
Oh yeah, especially if it's thought provoking. I just wish. So they're making a video game based off of this, and this was like
Oh, you didn't know that?
It was announced at the Game Awards like the week after it premiered. So this was a shadow drop of the setting of the new Pac-Man game.
So I guess
called Shadow Labyrinth.
We will learn more. Shadow Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So it was like a prelude, I guess, to Shadow Labyrinth.
I did know that when they made this episode, they got who owns Pac-Man? Namco. They got a directive from Namco that said make it as weird as possible. Like literally, that's what they said.
Yeah, Bandai Namco merged, so they owned it. Yeah, they wanted to make it weird as possible, and then they decided to use that to make I assume, action adventure game based on that. Which
The ending of
saw.
which, well, okay, how annoying would it be if you played this amazing, quest type game, but then the only way to beat it is to beat the hardest level of Pac-Man in a maze? That's what it's gonna be.
You got to reach the kill screen.
Yeah.
The kill screen will. But yeah, so
Escape the maze.
one last thing about that episode, Chris pointed out, and it was very timely. The red ghost is the one that Pac-Man faces off against. That the guy, the challenger faces off against first. Yeah, and Chris is like, he's the most aggressive. The red ghost, the most aggressive one, as it picks up the challenger and smashes him on the ground
And beats him.
Yeah, I think Chris literally said, "Yeah, the red's the most aggressive." As he then goes, boom, boom, boom.
Can I see that? Just write red ghost at the end of what we have in the search bar there.
And yeah, it was brutal, and it was the impetus for the power pellet for the orb to assume direct control.
Yeah. If that is the power pellet.
There you go, right there.
Yeah. Yeah, first thing the challenger does is find a sword sticking
Boom,
out.
now he's Pac-Man. Jeez.
Yeah.
Now I didn't notice he was red because of all the blood and whatnot.
Yeah.
But so that's Clyde.
Yeah.
As opposed to Inky, Blinky,
I think
or
it's
Pinky.
Inky. Inky, Blinky, Clyde. No, Clyde is the dumb one at the
I thought
end.
Clyde's the red one.
I don't think so.
Well, Inky's the blue one because he couldn't do black.
Oh,
it was a black
Blinky.
background.
Blinky's the red one.
Blinky's the red one.
Pink. We now.
Wait,
people-
no, red. Yeah, yeah, because pink is Sue, right? And then Miss Pac-Man.
Right.
The red would be Blinky, yeah. Or Clyde. I don't know. But yeah, and then
I gotta ask, can you look up Pac-Man Clyde? I'm sorry.
Like,
just
we need to
Google
know- it's
Pac-Man Clyde.
It's gonna eat.
That'll
your brain.
destroy the rest of the episode. If I know.
yeah, speaking of pretense, but also artistic appreciation, I appreciate it at the end as the counterpoint
Orange.
to the orange. Oh yeah, there's
I was off.
yeah. As a counterpoint to the opening shot where you see the tube and then the camera slants and you see that the tube was on a tilt the whole time. At the end, they show from an angle the row of tubes. That then it resolves into the single head-on shot of a tube.
Yeah, it shows that there's a whole bunch that are
Yeah.
coming through.
Which, if I really wanted to push it, I would say that that's designed to be the left and right of the screen where you can go through teleport and be on the other side of the Pac-Man board, because at the time they were boards.
Yeah.
It's interesting is the orb puck in this case keeps saying there is strength in repetition, and that's kind of its mantra, right? And when it fails at the end, because the challenger, whatever it is called,
Yeah, the challenger rejects
it. Yeah, it's like I don't want to do this anymore. I'd rather die, and it dies. And it's like, well, there's strength in repetition, I guess, and just keeps doing this. But what is that? Is that just like the idea that like playing over and over again makes you better at Pac-Man, or
It makes you better at life.
yes.
Yeah, and then also in the universe, repetition is the only way she will escape. And so
Yeah, because she's got to.
Yeah. And like the way it's presented, she like kind of like bumps against the now dormant gate, and it's just like repetition is the key. Like defeatedly, like this is like the nth time I've done this.
Right.
Let's run it back.
Did you think it was a nice turn? In that's a twist at the end.
I did like the twist that it's just going to start all over again with the new sucker. Maybe even the same sucker cloned, because he does wake up and says like, "Where am I? I don't know why I'm here." Like it seems he doesn't remember where he is, so he must have existed before now, or thought he existed before now. Like,
it
seems like he was disoriented, not created.
I'll put it this way: it poses more questions than answers the whole way through, which is fun. And if that's supposed to be like, well, this is the start of a new idea in a new world. As long as you have some follow through on that,
I will say that made me want to play the game when I saw the game was announced.
Yeah.
So I guess it just.
I want to learn more. It's kind of like you see the cryptic billboard or something, and like, Joe is coming. And it's like, well, who's Joe? What's coming?
Well, didn't like System Shock just have like ads that were just like a face, and it was like Shodan is coming, and you're like, who's Shodan?
Yeah.
Is that Shodan? And then you play System Shock, and you find out, yes, it is Shodan.
Obviously. So yeah, I mean, it's intriguing. It's definitely. I mean, tons of time was spent on it, on the visuals at very least. I want to know how well they thought through like the metaphors to the game, right? Because the thing in the game, you open a new level by eating everything. Yeah. You have to eat all the dots, and that opens the next level. And in this, it didn't seem to be so much. It was like the power pellet gave who I was like Pac-Man the ability to open the gate. It's like, well, that's not how it works. Power pellet doesn't get you to the next level.
Especially because the other ghosts retreat when they see that the puck has made it with a new challenger, and they like run away. The aggressive one comes out to fight. The rest of them like duck in the hidey holes.
Well, but
which would prevent him from finishing the maze.
But that's why I think it's a power pellet, because the shield goes over Pac-Man, making it a more intimidating thing, and then the ghosts run like they do in the game.
The shield was Pac-Man's blood formed into a shield, like symbiote style. Like it looked very cool. Again, I appreciated how it looked and how it presented itself.
You know what?
It just was not Pac-Man.
You know what I appreciated? It was longer than 1.5 minutes.
Speaking of which,
yeah.
So yeah, the Mega Man vignette. The whole video file is 8 minutes. The intro's about a minute. You get 4 minutes of Mega Man. No, you get 3 minutes of Mega Man. 4 minutes of credits.
Yes.
The credits are longer than the presentation.
Yes.
Which ticked me off to no end.
And before that, you got to go through like a minute of Amazon Prime ads.
Yeah.
Even as an Amazon Prime paying member.
After waiting a week for it to come out. That was so unfair.
But the actual skit, what'd you think of it?
It was just about to start, and it ended. So here's
it was the perfect cold open to a Mega Man CG movie.
Totally. That was, I'll tell you what, if there is a backdoor here where Tim Miller from Blur Studios, who's responsible for this, has the rest of that Mega Man movie ready to drop, it's brilliant, because all of us are clamoring for one thing. Well, if not, which it's not.
if it's not, then it's Blue Bomber, Blue Balls.
Exactly, and it's such.
I can't believe I said that. I had to because of the alliteration, but I did not want to. I did it under duress, just so you know.
Can we see that again in reverse? Or not in reverse, in slow motion?
Blue Bomber, Blue Balls.
But okay, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was wonderful. I think it's exactly what I want, and I can't understand the idea of making it that short unless there was a great fear of screwing it up.
So sometimes I just realized when you pointed out the pedigree of Tim Miller, he's the one that got the Sonic the Hedgehog movies greenlit, and he produced them.
That got the what?
The Sonic the Hedgehog movies. The third one just came out last month. He was the producer behind it.
And,
I think he
legendarily got Deadpool.
Yeah, and Deadpool as well. Yeah, so
he made that test footage and then directed that first film.
Yeah, if he wants to get movies made, he has gotten at least 2 movies made that were long shots. So I think if he wants to make a Mega Man movie or produce a Mega Man movie, it will be made.
It's
so
not
that's
a
good
long shot. That's what's killing me. Is like I would have scrapped so many of the other shows' budgets just to make this, but I also get it. If we are, it's Amazon. Well, they're going to respond to. A lot of people are talking about this. Let's make more of that.
Well, also
I pray.
Also, if you look at like the selection of games that are chosen and vignettes, it's very much PlayStation heavy. Like Sony, PlayStation America, SCEA, or whatever, must have a lot of influence. Because the last one, I didn't watch it yet, but is basically a PlayStation ad.
Oh yeah, I've heard this.
And then there's Concord, which famously got canceled after like a week of being available, but they made a whole lead up like skit in advance, expecting it to be a big hit.
Yeah.
So like Sony had a lot of push and weight behind this. Yeah. So I can see why Mega Man not being a Sony property wasn't given the main shrift.
It's interesting because almost all the properties are kind of has-been properties, as much as I hate to say it.
Yeah, Unreal Tournament is one.
Unreal Tournament. And really, Mega Man, is it, because I think you asked the three of us, what are the top 5 like video game mascots? We're probably going to have Mega Man up there.
Yeah.
The general populace doesn't really know.
Sales-wise, Mega Man's like
probably number 4.
It's in the teens.
Yeah.
I thought it was in the teens.
No, I'm talking about ranking.
Oh, ranking. Yeah.
But no, it's way down.
Yeah, franchise-wise,
Mega Man does not sell, and it did not sell.
Mega Man, what was it? 2 sold like 3 million copies or something like that.
Mega Man 2. I think Mega Man 2 is the only success.
Yeah, it might even. Yeah, but it was even like less than that. Like 2 or 3 million copies total is what it sold on NES.
The NES.
But it was ever present in gamers' minds because
so
everybody wanted to play it.
Well, Mega Man is a cultural icon. And the rest of culture is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, 3 million people played it.
But to be fair, we were there during that 15-year period where there was a Mega Man that came out every year.
Yeah, but
if you start with Mega Man and go all the way through ZX, it's pretty much a game a year.
Yeah, but like we looked it up, like the highest sales they peaked at like NES. I think even they peaked. Every sale number below since then was lower than.
So Mega Man's niche is what I've discovered.
Yeah,
and to me, it's like,
niche.
oh, well.
It shouldn't be, but it's niche.
It shouldn't be, right? And it doesn't feel niche to me. But then you just step outside our bubble of like our demographic. No one really knows Mega Man.
If you watch Captain N, chances are you didn't know who Mega Man was unless you owned Mega Man. You didn't know who Mega Man was unless you played Captain N.
And that's why there hasn't been
wait a minute. There was a cartoon.
Yeah, there's a cartoon.
And there was a great comic book.
There's a cartoon by Deke. They also made a cartoon about like a cat that lived in a junkyard. They would make cartoons about all sorts. Heathcliff, yeah. They made cartoons about all sorts of stuff. It was great, but I don't think
it was cheap.
They tried.
It's hard to hear.
It is. It was hard to learn
because we were looking up the sales. We were like, wait, no one buys Mega Man games, but us.
Yeah. It was like,
but do you think that there was enough in there to make more of that specific Mega Man show with that team?
I'm even going to go off the limb and say that team that made that vignette has like half a movie done, if not the whole thing. That's just what they released for this.
No, it's so expensive though.
If it's that clever, I don't.
They did
know
a
if
lot
they're that
of
clever though.
I don't.
I definitely think they caused us to want more of it.
But is that like so? This whole thing.
Disney had the rights to Mega Man
at one point.
Yeah,
Disney did.
Fox had it, and they bought Fox.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Because Fox was developing one years ago that never got anywhere.
But hopefully,
well, it's crazy. There hasn't been a new Mega Man game since Mega Man 11,
which blew my mind when Chris pointed
It's pretty old.
Yeah.
Mega Man 11 came out 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, it was like 2016.
Yeah.
Can we see Mega Man 11 release date, please?
11 was good.
It was great. It was very good.
And I remember when they released that, they were like, here's the deal. If people buy this, we'll make more of it.
Right.
2018.
2018. All right. So, it's been 7 years.
Yeah. The
almost 7 years.
The closest we've gotten to a Mega Man movie is Battle Angel Alita.
Yeah. Which was awesome.
Which was good. But I'm like, just have Robert Rodriguez and Tim Miller link up with that CGI studio, make a Mega Man movie. I will love it. I guarantee you.
I love it.
It's got one ticket sale.
I still think that Mega Man that they made on Secret Level, I think, was made with love. And I was tearing up. I was so excited. But when it just hard cut, I was like,
I thought there was nothing wrong with it except the length. It was the cold open to the first episode of a Mega Man series.
It was like inspiring. It was like a boy saying like, "No, I can help. No, you can't help. You'll never be able to help." And then it's like, "No, I'm ready." And it's like, "I need you." What was the line? It's a great friggin' line. It's like, just because I didn't build you for this doesn't mean you weren't meant for this.
Yes.
Yeah, this is not the purpose you were built for, but it turns out it's what you were meant for.
Yeah.
Oh, that's even better. So good.
Do you remember who beats Bomb Man? Whose weapon is Bomb Man's weak to? Because Chris we were trying to remember if it was Ice.
Stuck in my crawl with
Man, because Iceman is what happens in the skit.
Okay.
In the game.
In the game, who was he weak to? It was weak to Iceman because that means that they put the utmost love and care, and if not, then
this is unlike me. I'm going to find it for sure.
Because I'm pretty sure Bomb Man is strong against Guts Man. And then Cutman is strong. I thought, is Cutman strong as Bomb Man? Like cuts the fuses.
Like boss order.
I know when I was a kid. I always tried to figure out the logistics.
Is it the fire guy? Isn't it Flame?
Right, Bomb Man is beaten by Firestorm.
Firestorm. I thought so.
So
Okay.
come on. Now I'm mad at the short. Because he shoots him once with the ice weapon and kills him.
And the Firestorm would have had the same effect in this game. So Bomb Man's holding a bomb next to his head. Rock freezes it next to his head and explodes and blows his head off.
All right.
A fire shot on the bomb next to his head would have done the same thing. I'm mad now with you, Chris.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Now they're never going to make it because you're complaining.
Mega Man's got...
Well, yes.
There's one thing like you take away from Mega Man. It's like, well, you get weapons from bosses and those kill other bosses.
Yep.
And there's no plot reason he couldn't have had the flame weapon instead of the ice weapon in this short, right?
Done. You're right.
He even had a plasma torch.
I know what it was.
Yeah, he had a plasma torch that he attached an icicle cartridge to. He could just use the plasma torch.
No, it's because it's harder to animate fire.
Oh, yeah?
Wait, or
100%.
or could it be because fire would be more aggressive of an action for a kid to take in that situation where he's a kind, good-hearted kid. He's trying to save his father.
Yeah.
So ice has been fit. Yeah, he even apologizes to Bomb Man after he freezes the bomb. He's like sorry because he knows it's going to kill him.
He didn't have a young Japanese woman's voice. He was a boy.
Well,
did
you watch it?
Honest to God,
watch it
boy.
dubbed in Japanese?
No, I didn't, and I should. Although I think they changed that with Mega Man 11. They switched his voice into appropriate. Into appropriate.
But so it was interesting. I feel like a lot of that was budgetary. Like, all right, we have enough money to make 3 minutes of this, and that's it. And
do you think the whole show was that? Do you think the whole show was, we're gonna make a series out of something, and we're gonna figure out what the most watched is, because they'll get the data to figure out what are we gonna make first with this anthology?
It depends how much money they're looking to burn, because I know that Rings of Power costs a ton of money.
And nobody's watching.
2 billion.
Yeah, and no one's very... I think the best chance you have is to tell them that, like, hey, Mega Man's actually in the Cimmerillion.
No.
You guys own that.
No, they don't have the rights to Cimmerillion.
All right.
They have rights to errata. So
Yeah,
you got to say
errata.
that Tolkien wrote about rock and roll and Wiley.
You just got to slip it in on some, like, parchment paper and be like, this is what you bought.
So I did read
Dr.
that
Wiley was at Mount Doom.
I did read that there's a secret level season 2
There
that
is.
Tim Miller's trying to get
Well, no, it
made.
got greenlit
It did get
quick.
greenlit? Okay. So
Quick, it got
yeah,
greenlit.
but
So
I did see that he said he wanted to revisit some of these and elaborate on the world.
it would be stupid not to.
They would have to do Mega Man if they're going to do it in the second season. The Dungeons and Dragons, I think they're looking to expand too, because that one was.
We watched that one.
Yeah, watched that one
first,
today.
and,
It was-
I actually really enjoyed that
It was
one.
very well done. It was not based on any of the D&D video games at all.
From what I saw, most people were talking about Mega Man #1, the weirdness of Pac-Man,
Pac-Man, yeah.
and then 3 was the Warhammer.
Yeah, the Warhammer one I didn't watch because I
didn't watch it either.
Yeah,
but
it's a epilogue to the recent game that came out, Space Marine 2. So it's a prologue. So I didn't play the game yet, so I don't want to watch the prologue yet.
Don't want spoilers.
Yeah. It'll hit harder if I played the game, because apparently it follows right after the ending.
And I do want to play the game because I've heard great things about the game. I've never done anything in Warhammer, and I don't know. I only know it very vaguely. I'm like, oh, it sounds like something that's kind of fun to jump into.
Yeah. Like, main criticism I've heard about the game is that it lacks the dark humor that Warhammer has in it. Like, they played a real grim, dark series instead of wacky, grim, dark series, which is what Warhammer 40K is.
Yeah.
But besides that, it's supposed to be a real good mechanical game.
But I think it was why. I mean, that also makes sense of, like, okay, the ones with the most lore probably have the best chance at being a television series.
Yeah. Like the let me see what else.
So not Pac-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think Pac-Man.
It now has lore. They made lore for
However,
it.
wait a minute, Pac-Man has a TV show. Remember the Ghostly Adventures of Pac-Man? where it
Yeah,
was
I
teenage
remember
Pac-Man.
that.
Yeah.
And then the one from way back, there was a Pac-Man Christmas special that I watch every year.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Did you watch it this year?
Sure did.
Nice.
I never knew.
Because there's a Pac baby that loves munching ghosts. I think that's the line. It's very silly. I mean, I think it's late 80s.
Did you watch it with your girlfriend?
No.
Oh, come on.
I will tonight.
Have you ever watched Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas? The most depressing Christmas special ever made. Emmett Otter's Jug Band. It's a Jim Henson production.
I haven't seen that.
It's about an otter and his mom who are so poor that they don't have any food, and they try to join a music contest to win money to get food, and they lose. They basically freeze to death. It's beautiful, but it's like Good Times, the kids Muppets.
Oh yeah,
I bet the puppets were good look. They were good looking puppets. Muppets. So.
The outtakes from it are fun. Like even if you've ever seen it, if you watch the outtakes, it's a bunch of Jim Henson Muppeteers cursing through puppets. It's great. But yeah, so like some of the ones I watched that. Sorry,
it's okay.
Some of the ones that I watched that had really good hooks. Make good use of their source material. The Armored Core video I watched, because Keanu Reeves is the voice of the character. It's basically, Armored Core is a game where you pilot mechs. And in the world, especially in the latest game, Armored Core 6, there's some mechs that are like, people have been genetically modified with some alien technology to pilot them like Pacific Rim style. Like with their minds. And he's one of them. And most people are like, those don't exist. That's a myth. So when they run into one of them, they're like, oh, it's a weirdo that talks to himself, but he's talking to an alien AI in his head. And then he has to go on a mission, and his mission is to take out one of the failed alien AI pilots. He doesn't know that until the end. Like, they're lying to him the whole time, and then he's just like, existence sucks, and he kills him, and then goes back to the bar to drink some more. And it was very moody and very atmospheric, and it portrayed the gameplay during like his mission, but the dialogue and the story and the plot were very atmospheric. It was like a noir short story, just with mechs with laser swords and Gatling guns.
Interesting.
So that one, having played at least halfway through the latest game, I understood where it was coming from. Not having played the game, it just looks like, a guy that has mental problems. That's a soldier that has mental problems. That's dealing with mental problems as a soldier, and it's ambiguous whether or not he's crazy, which is something that's been in media for a while.
Yeah.
Since like at least Apocalypse Now. Like,
yeah.
It's a recurring theme. So it's something that you can pick up on as a viewer of media without having to have played the game.
Like, is this real?
Yeah. But if you play the game, you know it is real for him, and you know everybody else thinks it's fake for him, and they treat him as such.
Yeah. I think I want to watch them all now and just see like what's going on, because a lot of them are properties I'm not familiar with. Like, I never played an Armored Core, but I kind of know about it. Sifu, I know nothing about.
Yeah, see, I heard of the game. I wanted to play it. I just never played it. It's a martial arts like boss rush fighting game.
Okay.
I watched that one too. I won't go too much into it because you might want to watch it. But basically, it's a young guy. His like mentor, his Sifu was killed by like these gangs. And he's trying to like train up in martial arts to get good fighting the gangs. And he goes and fights the gangs, and they beat him and kill him. And then he kind of like goes into like an afterlife where he trains in real time.
The Crow.
Yeah, it's like the Crow. But then he comes back where he died, but after he trained.
Yeah.
So he comes back visibly older. He has like stubble. His hair started to grow. He fights the guys, kills him. He goes to the next group. And that continues throughout as he's trying to take out the guy that killed his Sifu. But he ages every time he dies by significant amounts.
Gets better.
Yeah. Show his training, but depending on his training, how long it takes, he gets significantly older as it goes on.
That is interesting.
And so I don't know how that ties into the game directly, except I know in the game you die and respawn. I think you start young,
like Pac-Man.
Yeah. Like I think you start young. Every time you die, you age, and your life bar continues until you get too old to fight.
Yeah.
Like when you become an old man, you can't fight very well. So you got
diminishing returns.
Yeah, you want to beat them before you die too many times. Yeah, you have diminishing returns. So as it was presented, it's like beautiful. You know, it's kind of gory. It's also beautiful, like as present. The CGI is great in all these.
So if you were gonna say a hook of why people should watch either Secret Level or one specific thing from Secret Level, let's play a game. What would your hook be?
Oh, like you mean like for one?
Like you got one line to get me to watch this.
Oh. You want to hear a story?
Any story.
I'm trying to evoke. Like, I did it wrong. I did it with a creepy look on my face because I couldn't think of anything better. But
amazing CG artists made vignettes about a whole bunch of video games.
Yeah. Wait,
I mean, that's the premise, and that's kind of all I need to kind of want to jump in.
I was trying to think something more pithy.
What if you almost got a great Mega Man show?
I don't think that's a great hook.
It's a terrible hook, but it's the hook I have. So,
And I'm definitely going to go back and watch the Concord one, mostly out of morbid curiosity, because like that whole thing I think is an amazing train wreck to watch.
The first I ever heard of Concord is when they announced it was shut down. And I was like, what is this game being shut down? And I didn't read any more into it, so I know nothing about it.
Yep.
Do you know anything about it?
No,
like, you even hear that?
All I know is what we've said at this table.
It's a hero shooter that had a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy vibes. But
the one trailer it had apparently, and then people played it for a week, and Sony canceled it and gave all their money back.
Yeah.
And then they already had this in production, so they put it out anyway. I was wondering if it makes people wish the game had continued, or if they're just like, oh, it's a cool story, or if it's like, oh, it's a dumb story. I'm glad it's canceled.
Go ahead.
A hero shooter that's actually doing very well came out a similar time, a couple months later. Marvel Rivals. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it.
Steve just started playing. I downloaded it, have yet to play it, but it's kind of taken the internet by storm a little bit because it's Marvel characters, all the superheroes you know and love, and more being added pretty regularly.
They just added Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm.
But
Sue Storm's costume. Whoa. You want to look that up? Sue Storm Marvel Rivals.
It's it's 6 versus 6, but it's like team-based hero shooter.
It's Overwatch.
It's Overwatch.
It's Overwatch, but more fun.
Yeah.
And
Malice.
But yeah, like and the hook for the game, which
in the middle there,
which I love, is Doctor Doom tries to take over the world by taking over time. Doctor Doom 99 also does the same thing. So they run into each other and are like, which Doom's going to win? Let's make all these different heroes from the multiverse fight each other to see who wins, and then that's it.
Yes,
it's the other one. If you go back, she's like all in red.
Yeah. One time she got corrupted and went evil, and she started dressing like a dominatrix for no reason.
Yeah, so this is causing a lot on the internet.
It just looks like normal comic book stuff to me. I don't know.
Not for Sue Storm.
It's comic accurate for Sue Storm.
Right.
For Malice version, yeah.
But yeah, so why'd you bring that up? Was it Buzz?
Well, just because we're thinking about cross media, right? Because we're talking about like things that have transcended, and this is comics in video games.
So yeah, a way it fits theme. I was telling Chris earlier about this, kind of complaining, but kind of not, because I kind of the more I talk about it, the more I talk myself into it. They have lots of background stories that are written in like short story texts you can unlock through gameplay.
This is Marvel Rivals?
Marvel Rivals. And I read one the other night, and I was like, this is actually pretty interesting. If it wasn't portrayed in a short, small, scrolling text box in the middle of a frantic hero shooter UI, I would love it.
Yeah.
Like, they need to either make little animated shorts of this or give you a way to full screen it and just have like a text file. I would read the hell out of it. But the way it's presented is so annoying to read, it makes you not want to do it.
I think what's drawing me to this a bit, I haven't played it yet. I only put it on my hard drive, which isn't, I guess, I'm a tough
close
nut.
enough.
But it's Marvel and not MCU, and the fact that it's taking these characters kind of more from
everywhere,
from the comics, and putting a new interpretation on them that
wicked cool.
That isn't MCU.
Yeah, like
is cool.
Yeah, Wolverine has a feathered hair and like a puffy ski jacket on.
What?
Because he's from a world where like everybody's a little bit more like 80s ski school kind of, and then you got like like Fantastic Four, like they're all from different unspecified universes, but then there's alternate costumes from certain specified universes.
That's the thing I've been seeing
kinda cool,
mostly is there's this YouTuber,
there you go.
Comic Explained, who is going over like all of these things and where they come from. That's hilarious. That is amazing.
And the fact that like one of the intro characters was Squirrel Girl, right?
Yeah.
Which is just like an off the wall fun character to play with.
And she's just real Squirrel Girl. She's very overpowered too, the character.
Which
I was playing deathmatch mode. Everybody was Squirrel Girl, and everybody ended up Squirrel Girl won. And I guess I'm joining the bandwagon. I'm doing that too.
So here's what's interesting about this versus Secret Level. So I have a question about Secret Level. Do you think Secret Level was just an ad for the games?
I don't.
75%, I would say yes.
A lot of those games are dormant, though. And that's the thing. So this is trying to appeal to fans of these games that were out, in Mega Man's case, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not like rush out and buy a Mega Man game, because you can't.
well, like that's what I said, 75%. Like Pac-Man, Mega Man, even to a lesser extent, Armored Core aren't really like commercials for their games. More like, hey, look at this cool world that people have talked about, raved about. Let's make a short film.
However,
in this world, some of them were like Concord, like Warhammer, or straight up like, hey, you know this game? Here's some stories from the game.
And if you haven't, buy this game.
Yeah, if you want to know what they're talking about, buy the game.
Well, you say that, but the Pac-Man one was actually a backdoor trailer for a game.
Yeah,
Yes, that's true.
Which you found that out after you watched it. So when I watched it, I was mad, and then when I saw the game was coming out, it made me less mad and more sad.
See, I think
for the state of the world.
I think all of them were ads for games except the Mega Man one. I think that one's testing the waters for do we Sonic the Hedgehog this thing and go make $1 billion?
So there was this Spelunky one. There's no way that was an ad for the game.
Yeah, Spelunky.
I think that was also like
Spelunky 2 came out like 5 or 6 years ago, which is a great game, an evergreen game, but like it's an indie game. It's a niche.
And like the secret level skit, I haven't watched it yet, but it's about 2 adventurers trying to explore caves. Spelunky's about exploring caves. It's a roguelike. So you die and you start over and everything's different. And it's about them dying and starting over and everything's different. So they're trying to explore it anew every time, but they remember that they remember their past experiences.
Yeah, I guess it's probably multi-pronged because a lot of these is just like, all right, this is content for eyeballs and we're trying to bring people into Amazon Prime. And so like, hey, nerds love their properties. Come in and watch this Mega Man. Terry, this is you. You are watching this, Terry, on Amazon Prime. Renew your subscription. And you do that.
Okay.
Like, another reason I think it might be more ad than art, but still has art, is Love and Robots. They did 2 seasons of that on Netflix, Tim Miller and them. And they got different art studios, some of them which worked on Secret Level to do vignettes for that. Those were all new properties, all made up for the little short films.
Oh.
So that was just for the love of art.
So maybe it was nothing easier to do this.
Yeah, and then with this one, they're like, we have the format. We know people watched it just because it was cool, weird stuff. And some people like watching cool, weird, experimental stuff. So let's do it with video game stuff that could also bring in a video game crowd.
And I wonder how the money flowed in this, because all the properties, none of these properties would be super expensive to license, except D&D might be the most expensive one.
Let me see. Like Bandai owns like 4 of the things that were there. Capcom is Mega Man. Warhammer, I don't remember who makes that. It might even be Bandai that publishes it.
The game, you mean?
Yeah. Armored Core is Bandai. Pac-Man's Bandai. Spelunky, I think, is Bandai. Like, no, Spelunky's
indie. Fairly indie.
It was developed indie.
Yeah.
But I don't know who published it, but
yeah.
But either way, like just trying to think off the top of my head, like Bandai did a bunch of them. Sony did a couple. They did Concord. They did the Sony one. I think Sifu is not Sifu. There's another Sony property in there, but Sony did a couple. Very obviously, like
it's such a weird smattering of properties, and so there isn't necessarily a coherent through line. Yeah. Because even like when it starts, it's like Dungeons and Dragons. I'm like, that's not a video game. Okay. And it wasn't about any specific Dungeons and Dragons video games. It's Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, like, that's the first one.
Yeah, like that one seems like an ad.
It is?
Yeah, that one seems like an ad. Like, hey, what if you had a CGI Dungeons and Dragons show? Look at how cool this would be.
And
Which to me, it looked cool. I liked it. I had no idea what was going on. Well, I knew a little bit just from Dungeons and Dragons. So I was like, oh, I know what spell they're casting. I know what action they're doing. So it was cool to me to see that represented in the way they did it.
But it wasn't like, how does that connect to the other secret level things? It's like a short thing nerds like.
Yeah,
that's kind of the only through line.
So the reason I bring it up is because, something like Marvel Rivals, for example, that is, they're selling a game. They're using everything that's
a free to play game
and selling.
Yeah, they're selling microtransactions.
Certainly.
Whereas Secret Level, I was like, I don't know what you're selling. I think you're selling more Secret Level, maybe, but it's just very confusing. The whole production of it. It's got to just be. To me, I thought it was just like, here's all the shit we're throwing at the wall. Let's see what people are talking about. We'll develop that. That's what I think.
Well, I don't even really speak from my experience, but I know Love and
Robots. We're
going
to make a shitload of money while we do it.
I know Love and Robots came out. I didn't watch it on purpose because I was like, they're little vignettes. If I like them, I get no more in this universe and I'm going to be mad. So I'm not going to even start it. I started Secret Level because I was like, some of these are games I know, or if I really want more, I can go play Sifu if I want to know what that's about.
That's a great.
So I had that's another reason I think some of it was ad focused or propagating the name focus, because I'm like, I might play Sifu to figure out what that was about. Love and Robots had like something about like Native American robots like walking around planes, and it's like, it sounds cool. I would love to watch that as an artistic thing, but if it's really awesome, and I'm like, what else happens in this world? Is everybody a robot? I'll never know. So I don't want to watch. So I don't want to watch it.
That makes it sound like the producers of Secret Level had their production subsidized by these properties. They didn't pay for licenses. At least, the licensees paid them to be like, hey, we're making a whole bunch of cool stuff.
That would be cool.
This is like advertainment more than like an ad. It's advertainment. Which not necessarily a bad thing because it got made.
Not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, it is confusing because it's a different model than we've really ever seen before.
We just got to see. I mean, we got to see in the media. We know that there's a secret level round 2. If one of those gets a full to series order, then we know what they were doing. But otherwise, it's just like, yeah, like you said, it's like we have this medium. Let's apply other stuff to this medium.
Yeah, because like Love and Robots, none of that went to go onto a series or a movie. I think there was like one thing that was continued in the second season from the first season, maybe one, but everything was like completely standalone. So it might even be we know the model gets some eyeballs. Let's get those same eyeballs on Amazon now. Maybe you get video game sales from it, but maybe not. Maybe it's not like I said, maybe it's not the goal, or maybe it's a side effect of getting your property out there.
I find streaming services, the economics therein, like I've read a lot about it and I do not understand, because when it comes to something like this, like, is anyone going to be like, I'm going to buy Amazon Prime so I can watch Secret Level? Like, that doesn't sound like a thing a person, maybe it is.
I mean, I do that with Disney Plus.
Do you? You're like, okay,
I cancel it and I watch it and then I cancel it.
And there's lots of people that will sign up and then forget to cancel it, or just happen to keep it to watch other stuff.
I'm actually pretty sure that's the model.
Well, yeah.
It's just
Amazon
most cynically, that's the model.
Because Amazon Prime for most people is like, oh, that's free shipping on buying things from Amazon. And then they've been trying to push so hard, like, oh, we got this video platform. And it's so much so, it's a terrible interface.
It's an afterthought.
It's an afterthought, but they're trying to, like, hey, did you know that your Amazon Prime membership lets you watch movies? And you're just like, am I gonna?
But like,
I guess they are if they're Mega Man, sure.
Like, well, just like quick math, like look at it this way. If you got streaming services, $15 a month. And especially the ad-supported ones like stupid Hulu and crap, they're still $15 a month, even though they have ads, which is a whole separate revenue stream. You got 30 million subscribers a month. That's $45 million a month you're bringing in from revenue just from subscription fees. Obviously, it costs money to send this out. It costs money to maintain the service. It costs money to make the content. But the content is subsidized often by other ways, like production studios in Hollywood make money to make movies. The way they do, they're still subsidizing things.
I actually think I heard that Netflix got to 50%. Like they're operating on a 50-50 of like 50% of what they get goes into their content. Whereas it used to be like 150% went into the content. And then they've switched, and now if you notice, content's not as good. Not as good.
Because they figured out they can actually make money off of it and get minimum viable eyeballs.
Left and right. Like, oh, you want a show? Here, make a show.
They had a couple of big wins.
That doesn't scale.
It doesn't scale, but it gets enough people. Because if you throw enough stuff out, it casts a wide enough net to bring enough people in to keep your service in case something like that comes out again.
So I'm wondering about your watching habits. So you'll be like, oh, something's come out that I want to watch in Disney Plus. I'll subscribe this month, and then you cut it. After you watch it.
I do, just because there's almost there's just not much for me on there. So X-Men 97 showed up, had to get on and watch that, And then I got burned by a couple Star Warses, so I left after Boba Fett.
Yeah, and
Boba Fett's trash.
Yeah, like I
left during Boba Fett.
I used to subscribe to Disney Plus, and I would just be fine trying to justify keeping it by finding stuff to watch.
Yes,
and I found a couple of things I liked, but they were still like, oh, it's a streaming series, it's 6 episodes. Now we'll do a watch for next, like the Mighty Ducks Game Changers series. I liked it a lot. It was very fun. It was 8 episodes. If I keep it and wait till next year, I'm paying hundreds of dollars to watch this next year, or I can just cancel it now and pick it up when I have that and this season 2 or this season 3 to watch.
I mean, it makes a ton of sense for you as a consumer. For them, they got your $15 for a month and nothing else. And that seems like a lower take than if they made that a movie or 2 movies, right?
Well,
a mini-series on TV.
Movies cost a lot to market.
Yes.
Like hundreds of millions to market sometimes.
Right.
You don't have to market the streaming as much, especially when you're showing ads on your streaming service for your products.
It makes so much less, like $15 a month. Like,
but it's also us. We're demanding.
Yeah.
We're demanding.
People always want more content.
We don't want to go to the theater.
And there's some of us who get pushed to the high seas, and they get nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
names mentioned.
They still get word of mouth.
Yeah.
Because those people go back to land and like, all right, look at this show I've watched, it's great. And then people that already have the service watch it on their service. They might not have watched it, but without anybody telling them, but they've heard tale from beyond.
What's your favorite streaming service right now?
Well, by default, it's Netflix because that's the only one that I willingly pay for without complaint. I'll put it that way.
It's probably the one with the broadest stuff in it still.
Well, yeah. There's lots like there's always stuff I could watch on it. I like watching new stuff though. So there's always lots of new stuff, even if it's trash. I'd rather watch something new.
Yeah.
Find out if it's trash and stop.
Like you seem to
watch a bunch of old stuff over and over again because I've seen it already.
Steve's a big fan of watching a new, like even if it's stupid and bad, like it'll come out and you're like, oh, I'll watch it, and
It's novel. I want novelty.
It's novel. So it's like here's some crazy director they gave like $100,000 to, and he made some movie. Like and you'll watch it and enjoy it.
I just started watching anime on Netflix about heliocentrism.
What's that?
Anime about the theory that the Earth revolves around the sun. Which
What if they were wrong?
because it's set in like 16th century like Czechoslovakia, and they were like very religious, so they were like, oh, obviously Earth is the center. So and in real life it was Copernicus, I think, is the one that was like, no, it's the other way around, and it doesn't make sense that way.
And they killed him.
Yeah, they killed him for it. And this is about the kid trying not to get killed while he's trying to prove it. Like, it's interesting and weird.
I like the idea of the anime is just like, I'm not going to write this down. I'm not going to tell anybody this.
Well, that's the first thing you did was you wrote it down and got found, and it's like, oh no. So yeah, it's an anime about that, and it obviously wasn't created by Netflix necessarily. Like they license a lot of animes, sure, but some of them they do create.
Baki, they created. I love Baki.
And
That is fucking
I need
crazy.
to walk that back. 'Cause I haven't looked into it. They might have funded this one. This might be a Netflix anime. I've never heard of it before I saw it on Netflix. But that's the type of thing I would never have seen at all if I didn't have Netflix, because I wasn't looking for Netflix animes. Like,
So I don't use streaming services very much. The only one my household subscribes to, unless you count Amazon Prime, which I don't think I would. We have Amazon Prime.
But regardless, not the question. The question is favorite.
yeah, what's your favorite?
Plex.
What is Plex?
So it is my home server where I maintain a library of media and can share it with my friends.
Well,
and keep it updated.
It has its own library of media and is linked into for like Freevee and Roku TV, and it has all that stuff on offer as well with ads.
The cover story.
That's what makes it a streaming service.
Yes.
Which you're
outing you on our podcast?
he outed himself. But no,
I may have invested over $1,000 in this server.
I'm trying to smooth it over. Yeah. It is a streaming service. It's a streaming service. It's a platform that allows you to conglomerate all sorts of media sources, including streaming services. Ad-supported streaming services.
We have a number of friends who also have Plex servers, and you share with each other. So when you log, you open Plex, which is either on a computer or a smart device or a TV, and
It's a media archival service.
yeah.
You just it's
With
just
streaming.
you where the lion's head would be, and you're just like, "Grr!"
Yes.
Or better yet, like you remember the roller coaster at Regal? It's just like you're in the sidecar, like, come on, and you go down the whole thing.
But it'll be like, oh, this is the McGuire family server, and that's where I watch most of my stuff because I grab everything I want. But then it'll be like, oh, my friend Alex also is sharing his stuff, and we can just jump in and watch his stuff direct from his computer through our machine.
Yeah, but that's not your favorite streaming service because you're not using the streaming part.
Kind of streamed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm streaming it from my basement.
I guess it technically is streaming, but it's not
on cable, and you didn't go to the theater.
So I will say
Fair,
that the
fair.
only one that we pay for and watch is Netflix. And Netflix, this is stupid, and I shouldn't pay for this, but the only thing I watch on it is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the anime,
sure.
and I watch that when I'm running on the treadmill.
What?
And that's pretty much
That's a
it.
running show.
It is for me right now.
That's a very
I'm gonna
good
do
way.
that.
That's a good way to watch media while exercising.
You know what it is, actually? It's a great way to watch anime specifically. That is a great call because, you know, there's so much filler in anime. So it's,
Well, JoJo's no filler. It's all killer. It's dumb. Have you ever heard of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know that honestly, it's so hard to get through the first season that I haven't gone to like the good ones yet.
Yeah.
But the first season's,
Well, maybe not loved it. It is.
it's
the
just that
roughest
all of
them.
shonen is kind of based off of that first season.
Yeah.
So it's just a little
Oh,
stale.
yeah, you
Did you
just
get
seen
to
it
the
too
part
much.
where a man in a top hat,
JoJo.
where a man in a top hat,
Me, Dio. Like,
when a man named Ario Speedwagon teaches him about Hamon, the power of the breathe.
Power of breathing.
That's the. It's so stupid.
you
It's great.
thought it was so and so, but it was me, Dio. There's a sweater that someone made that it says,
this-
you thought I was just a shirt, but it's actually me, Dio. And it's a picture of him.
The thing that made me fall in love with that was just when they're like, "Oh my God, Dio, you've eaten so many people, drained them of blood." He's like, "How many loaves of bread? How many breads have you eaten in your life?
How many breads?
You don't keep count either, do you?"
Yeah, it takes a hard left, that show, but that's what makes it bizarre.
It takes a hard left to hard right. a couple
just keeps
dips and
By the time you get
dives.
to the 4th season, it's like JoJo's I think JoJo's a girl in that one, and it's a lot of people's favorite trend, and it's like in like space jail.
Yeah,
Yes.
the main guy's great granddaughter. No, she's in jail in Florida. Even worse than space jail. She's in Florida jail. With Florida convicts. It's great.
It's something I have trouble. Like, I don't recommend it to a lot of people. It's like you have to be a certain, like, embrace the stupid.
Yeah, of course. No, I love anime. I think it's so fun, but yeah, that's a perfect. You know what I used to do? I would watch Dragon Ball Super on like a little laptop, whereas on the big screen I was playing video games with the sound off.
nice.
That used to be like my favorite thing to do because you don't have to watch every frame of anime. It was designed that way.
Yeah.
Because nothing's happening.
And they tell you what's happening usually when it's happening.
But running with JoJo's great, especially like if there's like a training arc or something. All the theme songs are awesome to run
Dude, when
to.
I start my nerd gym, running with JoJo.
Running with
is
JoJo.
going to be the class you lead.
Yes.
You gotta
yes.
have the characters posing in front for inspiration.
Giant movie screen up.
Yeah, and it's something like, honestly, I was like, man, if I downloaded all of JoJo, it would take up a big chunk of the hard drive. So,
But then you wouldn't. I don't know. I also pay for it.
Hence the stream.
Yeah, I also pay for it because it's my penance for bootlegging activities of my past.
Yeah, and
I'll gladly pay it.
the other part of this is I do want to support artists, right? And it's just media sucks right now. Like the distribution therein, and TVs suck. I hate television right now as a device because.
Well, did you check out CES 2025?
Yes.
Did you see? Did you see?
Don't talk about the frame. The stupid frame. That what you gonna talk about? I'm sorry, I called it stupid then. But
No, I'm
thing.
talking about a throwback to this show. They unveiled the thing that Ben Affleck made in that movie. Where you take the screen away and it's a hologram. They unveiled it. It's real.
I didn't see that.
God, that's
real.
so bad.
Look, yeah. What was the
awesome.
name of that movie that I did a whole rant on?
Paycheck.
Paycheck. They invented the paycheck
TV
device.
hollow screen.
The only thing I saw at CES that I even cared about was the spoon that makes food taste saltier than it is. Because I thought that was the most Japanese thing I've ever heard of.
That is the best name for a children's book. The spoon that makes things taste saltier than
it.
But yeah, just television. All the smart TVs come with all this bloat, and you can't buy a TV that isn't smart anymore. And I just want a big monitor. For the love of God, sell me a
Chris,
big monitor.
You're the guy. You're the guy to start dumbtvs.com and sell dumb TV.
Yeah, there's a market for it, and
We have it here. I hate that these are smart TVs. They're so difficult.
yeah, and the thing is, like in a couple years, they'll be like, oh, we don't update that anymore, and nothing will work on it.
Well, no, if it's anything like cell phones, as soon as they stop updating it, you can mod it to your heart's content and get rid of a lot of that bloatware because they won't break it by updating it.
Yeah, you just need to have a nerd community that's focused enough on it. And the problem is there's so many
Too many
different models.
TVs, yeah.
Like
Too many
all right,
firmwares.
I can hack Android, right? And Android is the same OS on pretty much anything, if a specific version. But every one of these TVs has its own software and hardware.
And like, that's one thing that I got confused about a couple years ago because Android TV was a thing where all the TVs ran on Android. And then they started Google TV, which don't run on Android, they run on something else proprietary for each TV.
Yeah.
And they messed that up. But if you can find like a 10-year-old like 4K like Android TV, you can use that as a dumb monitor with some modification.
It's the
If they
great
exist.
part about TVs is they are ungodly cheap now.
Yes, they're very cheap.
But for your next business, dumbtvs.com,
They'll be very expensive.
you'll be able to mark it up.
Yeah, I mean, they would have to. That's the
I
crazy
would pay
thing.
more
That's the
for
problem.
a dumb TV.
It would have to be because either work goes.
And I would too, and that's crazy because that's what used to be an upsell, right? You got a smart TV, oh, it's an upsell, and now people are like, I would rather not. Nerds, at least.
I feel bad for all the people who still have those 3D TVs.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure they don't work anymore.
I know.
They never did.
I know
No,
one
I
person
mean
who
as
still
a
has it.
TV. Like,
Although now they do because of the Ben Affleck paycheck screen is real.
oh man, back on topic of media, adapting video games, we could do like a speed round of other. Wait, do you want to talk about your favorite streaming service first?
Oh,
My-
yeah,
yeah,
I wanna-
well-
what do you watch?
Now it's Apple Plus.
Really?
And
You have a lot of content that's at least seems interesting.
I
now.
discovered
But-
a Billy Crystal horror series. And I'm like, a lot of stuff on this.
Is it a new thing
It's
or the
great.
older thing that
Brand
they
new.
license? Oh, okay.
Brand new. He's an old man. And it's spooky, but it's really good. And then I was looking at it and I was like, wait, there's a lot of good stuff on Apple Plus. So I figured out Apple Plus is appointment viewing, by which I mean you would sit down and watch it like whatever your show is. My life has always been like
weekly.
There's a half hour or an hour a day that I could dedicate to a thing.
Yeah.
So this is not where you have two screens on at the same time.
Right, you got to pay attention to the show.
Right, I feel like Apple is making content that's not double screen. But I think that's why a lot of people prefer Netflix, because Netflix is definitely making double screen TV.
So that's the thing, like, there's stuff I watch double screen.
Netflix DS.
Stuff I watch double screen is like YouTube content. I won't watch a TV show double screen because if I don't want to pay that much attention to it, I don't want to watch it because I have other stuff I want to watch. So I tend not to do that. I guess Hulu would be what I do that with the most because I hate ads.
I don't even know what Hulu is. It's half Disney Plus and half Paramount Plus.
Yeah, it was Paramount and Disney joint venture.
This is a video game podcast.
So there's a show called Future Man on Hulu, which was great. Yeah. It was very video game
esque.
The character played video games all the time, so much that people from the future came to recruit him to go to the future and to help them solve their problems by playing video games.
Not the first time that's happened. That happened in Wing Commander?
Yeah, Wing Commander. I think they were aliens, or were they from the future?
I don't remember.
But regards to this show, they fail because they're dumb. So it's all about him in the present day, them in present day trying to get him to the future.
I'm curious. All right, I think the only Apple, maybe there's a couple more. I don't even know where they come from because I just get them. But Foundation, did you watch any of that? Okay.
Season was okay. Second season was real bad.
It's not a good show.
Okay, then.
But it's a beautiful show.
Yeah, it looks really good.
And it's bad in interesting ways.
It's a double screen TV.
It's
possibly.
It's knockoff Dune, which feels bad to say because it was written by before Dune by Asimov.
Dude, I would love.
But the show's knockoff Dune because they changed a lot of stuff to cloud.
So a lot of the stuff in it is interesting, and they flub it. But the way they're trying is like, oh, they're trying.
They were trying to make something out of a bunch of short stories by Asimov, and they didn't really succeed. For All Mankind it's a great show on Apple Plus.
I also think the spiritual successor to Bob's Burgers is on Apple Plus too.
Oh, Central Park or Park or whatever.
Central Perk
with
the
on?
Friends.
I heard about it when it first came out, and I've never heard about it since. So I didn't know if it was still on. But
It exists on Apple Plus.
I know I tried to watch the morning show, and I hated it.
I'm not starting that one.
Yeah,
because I love Matt Lauer.
It was
Free Matt Lauer.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like video game adaptations on streaming services alone. There's actually a good amount of stuff there.
Let's do what Steve was saying and just kind of speed round, because we started this with like video games that transcended their medium into something else. What are some of your favorite games that transcended? Again, we live in a world now where Sonic's made $1 billion at the box office. Mario made $1 billion at the box office. Like, we're in a crazy world, and all of them have comics and cartoons and everything else.
Yeah. So my biggest one is Mass Effect to BioWare, because they both have animated adaptations that were fair to middling. They weren't as good as the DC animated output,
sure, but
they weren't garbage either. They were very tied into the lore. They were not quote unquote canon to the games. Like, they used the lore properly and didn't, like, it wasn't filler. But the book series written by the original writers of those games were amazing. And they fleshed out a lot of the world, and I like some of the books better than like some of the Dragon Age games, because some of the games had less than stellar gameplay, but the story has always been very well told, and the lore of the world has been very awesome to me. And the books flesh it out so well, and then they take those characters from the books and add them to the Mass Effect and Dragon Age games.
Oh,
afterwards.
Interesting.
And so there's a nice
that enhances your play.
Yeah, it enhances as opposed to just being extra side stories that are just like, oh, these are extended universe content, like the old Star Wars stuff. It's all part and parcel of the same world. You're just reading it instead of playing it. But you can also play it later, and then you can watch stuff. So it's, as a multimedia attack, it was very well done. And then all the writers left, but yeah, so that's it for me.
I mean, I definitely think, I think Amazon Prime should be the home for most video game generated media, because Fallout was such a good show.
It was a good show.
Rock solid show, rock solid cast. I haven't played Fallout, and I love Fallout now.
Yeah, and the show was very faithful to the spirit of the games. And even some of that stuff in the show, action in the show, was what you would do in a game. Where some of the props were like things that you have in the game, or would you have in the game. Like the the device that took the rest of the limb off so they could put a robot limb, that was not in the games, but it's definitely something that would have been in one if someone had thought of that.
I just love the world. It was a 1-to-1.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And, from all my Fallout research that I had.
But yeah, but yeah, and it
Now I'm eight hours into lore.
Yeah, it hit the tone exactly, though. It was perfect.
Yeah. On that line, I would say Castlevania. Netflix's Castlevania is so good, and it's basically an adaptation of Castlevania 3, where you're switching between these three characters. But the characterization's so good in that show.
It was so well done.
Why was it Trevor instead of Simon? But brilliant. Well, brilliant choice.
Yeah. Well, like I think they did it because it sets up Dracula as the Belmont's enemy. Because before then, Dracula was just a guy that existed. And then humans got stupid and killed his wife. So he went on a crusade against humanity. Before then, he wasn't on a crusade against humanity. They just fought monsters. At that point, it becomes them against Dracula.
That's a good point.
So that's why
a lot of it's like some of it's just original, but it's using the themes and characters from the series very well, and like in just very imaginative ways. And
season 4?
No, so there were.
There were four seasons
and it's over.
And then there's a new one called Nocturne.
Yeah,
that's an adaptation of no, it's right before Rondo of Blood.
I don't remember if I finished it, but
or Symphony of the Night, whichever one was first.
Richter is the lead in that
it's
one.
young Richter.
Yeah, it's young Richter.
However that fits in the timeline.
The second season of Nocturne's coming out later this week.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Timely.
If you want more of Castlevania,
January 16th.
You got some more Castlevania, and so far, like I didn't like it as much as the first series yet, but there wasn't a ton of it, so I'm like excited to see more.
Yeah, there were like 4 episodes or something.
Yeah.
So the animation quality is lower in the new one, but the art, it looks more ambitious. Like there's more effects and stuff.
I'm gonna go way outside the box on this though. Just YouTubers making video game music. Either in a heavy metal, like
Metroid.
What is it? Neoclassical, I think is what it's called, when it's like electric, but kind of classical styles of orchestras, and then straight up the 8-bit band. Mm-hmm. They do like big orchestra.
Or the 8-bit band.
The 8-bit band. They're incredible. They're coming to Philly. I actually have tickets. But just that medium that has been created of just people doing covers. Really great orchestral covers of video game music.
There's hundreds of albums of them now.
It's my favorite music.
Did we ever tell you, or did you ever listen to the Proto Men?
Yes, you did tell me.
Okay, yeah. I gotta check to see if they have any new.
Which kind of more? It's like rock opera, but not based on the music of the game, on more on the story of the game.
Yeah, based on like the themes of Mega Man.
I think I listened to Quick Man's song, and it's like, I'm Quick Man and I hate you, or something like that.
No, that's the Megas.
That's
like a song. Yeah.
Then the Megas actually take the music from the game and interpret it, but the Proto Men make up their own music based on the stories of the games.
Yeah, the Proto Men is like, what if Tommy but Mega Man?
Yeah.
And then there's another guy, Brent Tendo. He's one of the first YouTubers ever. And he had a Mega Man song. He did all of Mega Man, but I think the first one was you Mega Man, I got a motherfucking gun for a hand. And then he just like it was what if video game music had lyrics. That was
and he started that, kicked that off. Yeah, I know him as I can't remember his other name, but he was like big.
He makes games now.
Yeah. He was like big on like some early podcasts. Yeah, I remember hearing him, and I was like, that's the same guy from Nintendo.
Well, I want to go play some video games and watch some video game shows now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Brental Floss. That was his
Brental
name.
Floss. That's it. Brental Floss. I think that's the. Yeah, I'm blown away by.
He was on the Joystick podcast sometimes.
Yeah.
I also love that it's fans, fans making stuff based on what they love. Like that's everything.
And like the producer that did Castlevania, and he did the Lara Croft Tomb Raider animated series just came out, and a couple other animated series is like I forget his Ari Shankar.
Oh yeah. He also did the gritty Power Rangers reboot that got a cease and desist from Saban, but had James Vanderbeek in it.
That's when you know you made it, when you get that cease and desist. You're like,
like that's like somebody who was a gamer that was like, I want to put these games I've played into a multimedia or like into like a visual media, like a tag. It showed a lot of love, even if some of his work, less good products. Still show a lot of love and like labor put into it. Like
that's the name of a show. Less good product.
Awesome.
Well, let us know in the comments what first of all what you thought of Secret Level, but also things that transcended the medium, referring to video games. And also, let us know your favorite streaming service.
Yeah.
We're having a little friendly competition here.
If you read any of the Dragon Age books, let me know which one you like the best. Because I don't remember the names of them right now, so I gotta look them up.
And is there a password to this Plex thing that we need to?
Oh, I'll hook you up. All
right, very cool. Thanks everybody for watching Tubby Talk. We love you.
This has all been satire and parody, and nothing we said should be taken seriously or is admissible in a court of law.
Make more Mega Man.
Admissible. Which word do I use?
Good night,
Mega.
YUNKJunk!